The item before you this evening for consideration is the mandatory spay neuter ordinance for pit bull and pit bull crossbreed dogs.
So I don't think it's any secret that I've been interested in this issue for some time, and I do have to say that I continue to believe, based on the data and the facts that I have seen, that pit bulls are extremely dangerous. And the metric that I think is most important is the severity of attacks. You'll read from a lot of the correspondence, I've got a lot of emails, a lot of letters, a lot of papers. You'll read a lot about how all dogs bite, and the frequency of dog bite incidents or dog bites doesn't change when you have legislation and all. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the severity of the risk. And year in, year out, it appears, for whatever reason, I'm not a veterinarian or an animal psychologist, but year in, year out, it appears that pit bulls, which may constitute 4% of the population of dogs in the United States, are responsible for 60%, 70%, 80% of the fatal attacks on people. Last year, there were 31 fatal attacks by dogs. 4% of all dogs are pit bulls, so you'd expect that one of those would have been caused by a pit bull, 1 out of 31. And in fact, it was 27 out of 31. We have incidents in our community regularly. We had one just recently. And I haven't seen the report on it. I've asked for a more fulsome report, but we had an incident where there was a gentleman who was up on the roof of a car, and there was a call to the police for service because there was a pit bull that was trying to attack him. And we've had attacks with bites. We haven't had a fatality that I'm aware of, but we've seen a number of these attacks, and certainly in the region we have had fatal attacks by pit bulls. And again, without speaking to the cause, there is undeniably a correlation between this breed, for whatever reason, whether it's the owners or the food that they're fed or whatever it is, there is a connection between this breed and severe attacks.
Let's turn to public comment.
My name is Neuter. I'm a homeowner in Doggy, which is serviced by the Pasadena City Council. Tonight I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my husband, who is a local pastor, a graduate of Fuller Seminary here in Pasadena. He's a part of the Doggy Police Department and is the leader of the Area City Chaplaincy Group, which includes Pasadena's chaplains. We are the owners of 2 wonderful pit bulls. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner at UCLA Medical Center. I have 2 master's degrees in nursing science. Unfortunately, I wish I was able to read my only 1-page statement, but since I'm not going to have time to do that, one of my biggest issues is that I think that this law appears to criminalize poverty. I think, according to citydata.com, 22% of Pasadena residents live below the poverty line. I think compelling low-income pet owners to spay or neuter their pets through a mandatory spay neuter law does not make them any more capable of paying for the surgery. I think to help ensure and public safety, Pasadena should instead take an overall approach to amending its animal code, focus on enforcing responsible pet ownership with its already existing laws, provide a community-based proactive educational program for its residents, and most importantly, focus on a more low-cost spay neuter options.
Hi, I'm Sia Bossimer. I'm a board member of a nonprofit spay neuter organization. And as I said last time, I'm completely opposed to mandatory spay neuter of all breeds. And I'm glad that you guys have decided basically the blatant discrimination to focus on the pit bulls. And growing up with a mother that has a doctorate in education and having a college degree myself, I know the importance of research, case studies, and citing valid resources. I know that myself and other animal advocates have provided countless research and case studies about the ineffectiveness of mandatory spay neuter and breed-specific legislation nationwide. My question is, what research or impact studies have you done that will show how it will directly impact the city of Pasadena? What surveys or polls have been conducted to determine the constituent support for this ordinance? If the answer is none, the only responsible response is to table the issue until you've completed these steps. I've submitted a lot of information to you, and the most important one that I think you all should read is the MSN Pasadena PDF, because that discusses all breeds, not just pit bulls.
My name is Marla Tasher. I'm an animal attorney. I practice specifically in the area of animal shelter and animal control law, which includes dog bites by definition. I want to challenge these numbers first off because sitting here listening to this is insane. The one thing that you have to take into consideration is that pit bulls in shelters are not made available for adoption. The only outcome they're offered is death. You have to keep that in mind. Check the policy and actual practices, not the written policy, but the practices of the Humane Society. That's the first thing. Also, you can't claim at this point to be motivated by reducing the number of pit bull type dogs because you're not taking the whole thing into consideration. And thus far, you've only listened to Councilman Madison, who obviously as an attorney has to understand that he's offering expert testimony in the form of this dogsbite.org. But what he's not offering, and he knows that he's well aware that you have to establish the qualifications of your expert. His expert in this case is an angry woman in Texas who has no qualifications or experience as an expert. She hides behind her keyboard and just spews hatred and venom and misinformation. I've given you 10 articles from the AVMA, the CDC, the American Bar Association, the National Canine Research Council that have legitimate research in them, and I certainly hope you will avail yourselves of the information. It is crucial. It is incumbent on you to educate yourselves. I've made the material available. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rachel Lazar. I'm Director of Pit Bulls Against Misinformation organization with over 93,000 supporters, and we oppose the item, the agenda item for breed-specific mandatory. We also oppose mandatory spay period. Everyone's provided so much great information already, except for Mr. Madison. My organization fights misinformation, and pretty much everything coming out of your mouth is misinformation.
Would you direct your comments to the
Yes,
council?
so I would invite you, just again, encourage you to follow what everyone else says. Please research for yourself, find out the facts, and vote based on facts and not life.
Ms. Martinez.
My name is Sherry Martinez, and I too sit on the board for Pit Bulls Against Misinformation. Mandatory spay neuter has been proven a failure. I heard everyone to do the research. Mandatory spay neuter laws have caused kill rates to rise, and we do not have repeat failures of other communities. We don't need that in this community. And I'd like to see a recall here pretty soon. And also, I don't know where this chart came from, but it would be nice if more information was on your chart with your little made-up numbers and other stuff. So, yeah, I like what you said, or what the listener said, and thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Teresa Stanchevich, and I'm a homeowner in the city of Glendale. I want to start by congratulating you all on seeking ways to help dog owners of Pasadena get their dogs spayed and neutered. I believe that everyone speaking tonight, either for or against this ordinance, shares a common ground. We all want safer communities and more companion pets spayed and neutered. I realize budgets are tight these days, and there are many issues at Pasadena that need city dollars. I believe that it makes sense to look at finding ways to get spay neuter goals accomplished in a way that doesn't strain city budgets, and working in partnership with animal welfare agencies seems to make good sense to me too. Pasadena is a beautiful and special community right with leading innovators and institutions. Tonight you honored a rocket scientist. The proposed ordinance reflects none of Pasadena's most treasured qualities, and it is not aligned with the stated values of responsiveness, accountability, excellence, innovation, or diversity and inclusiveness. I question why Pasadena is choosing to follow less visionary municipalities with this proposed ordinance when there are a growing number of progressive communities who are on a different path and who embrace breed-neutral behavior-based animal control laws. The vast majority of people love their dogs, and if support and services are offered, they will accept them.
Hi, my name is Nicole. I've been a Pasadena resident for 13 years, and I love the city. I oppose this item, and I know you mentioned there are 67 people here wanting to speak, but there are 50 people downstairs, so there are a lot more that are definitely opposing this. And I just want to make you aware that the Humane Society in the U.S., as well as other animal welfare groups, are against breed-specific legislations,
stating that it's costly, doesn't reduce individuals being harmed by dogs, and merely harms families, dogs, and communities. The American Humane Association, along with the American Veteran Medical Association and other experts, have stated that studies show no particular breed is more dangerous than another, but rather it is specific situations that create dangerous dogs. After the CDC compiled 20 years of data, they found fatal dog attacks were a small percentage, and that it's impossible to calculate bite rates per specific breed. In August 2013, the United States issued an official response stating that they do not support breed-specific legislations.
Thank you for the question. I'll just hold the photos for you real quick, okay? This here is a dog, pit bull type dog named Cole, search and rescue. This here is Blueberry, certified therapy dog. Blueberry goes into hospice situations and rehabs centers. This is Josie, another pit bull type dog. Josie is a special case. She is a therapy dog. She is a therapy dog, but 4 years ago she was rescued from the largest fighting bust in this country, known as the Missouri 500. You want to eliminate a dog that has every reason to hate humans, but yet it goes into schools with children and allows children that cannot function and read in front of other kids. Those kids are reading to this dog. This, Jeffrey, a therapy dog. Jeffrey was sent to Sandy Hook Elementary School.
Ma'am, you realize your time has expired.
Oh, let me finish with her, with Jeffrey real quick, if you don't mind. Jeffrey went into Sandy School Elementary School. We all know the tragedy that took place there. This pit bull alone comforted those children. If we have a tragedy in Pasadena, we have earthquakes, any type of tragedy, are you telling me that pit bulls are not qualified to do this type of work? You're wrong. It's all about responsible ownership.
My name is Vicki Padilla. I'm a nurse of 28 years and a proud pit bull guardian. I think most of us can agree that demonizing groups of any living thing or non-living object does not stop crime, nor does it provide safety. Also, I think we can agree that it doesn't stop or prevent individual action or intent. There is something fundamentally wrong when our so-called progressive society attempts to design and implement laws based solely on physical appearances and genetic makeup. That is an awfully slippery slope. Moreover, there is no evidence from anywhere in the world that shows that regulating dogs on the basis of breed makes a community safe to live in. Overpopulation simply is a human issue. It is not a specific breed or dog problem. I oppose ESL on any level.
Hello, and thank you for letting me speak. My name is Sarah Dett, and I wanted to start off by congratulating you on you in Pasadena on being rated the second gayest city in America of 2014 by the Advocate. This is a great honor as it shows the city believes strongly in equality, diversity, and compassion towards all. However, I feel these strides for equality are diminished by the legislation that singles out a dog based specifically on his or her breed or appearance. This is nothing more than bigotry and canine equivalents for racial profiling. I'm excited for the steps Pasadena is taking towards spay and neutering of all dogs and cats. As a volunteer for the No Kill LA shelter and Best Friend shelter, I all know too well how many animals are looking for forever homes. But specifically singling out one particular breed because of misconceptions made is not going to solve anything. I would like to introduce my loving fosters who have changed my life this past year. All pit bulls. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cindy Pantoa, and I know very well about discrimination. I'm a Latina, I'm type 2. I know that a lot of people do perceive me due to prejudice or judgmental attitudes. And I will say this as an animal advocate. You will hear a lot of people say that either we rescue them or they rescue us. So this is a picture of my rescue pit bull who was confiscated from a dogfighting ring in Downey. His ears were cut off. He was bred and treated maliciously, and he rescued me. He showed me that there's no way that I can look at a dog and judge them by the scars on their face or their bodies or by the way they were treated. That they actually grow because we treat them with love and compassion. So I just want you to see that there is hope, that we can see things different if we look at people that show us that they are exactly how they are. They're just loving, beautiful animals. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Robin Purcell, and I'm the COO and Director of Education of Pasadena City Pit Bulls. We are a pit bull specific nonprofit education, advocacy, and rescue group based in the Los Angeles area. Since our inception over 3 years ago, we have successfully rehomed over 200 dogs, and many of those dogs have come from the Pasadena Humane Society. A program, I'm in complete agreement that we need to work together to find solutions to reduce pet overpopulation. With that said, similar breed-specific mandatory spay and neuter ordinances like this have been shown to unfairly impact low-income families. As an animal welfare group, we believe that spaying and neutering of all pets is incredibly important, but we must work together to find a solution that does not penalize low-income families. It is possible to work towards a voluntary spay and neuter model where Pasadena Humane Society can work alongside local animal groups to bring spay and neuter services to low-income families. In closing, I'd like you to investigate a more positive program with the mandatory spay and neuter same goal, but without criminalizing.
Hi, my name is Jan Reedy, and I am like Jan Reedy from the Pasadena. I'm in your jurisdiction as far as the animal control. I also want to say that I am a foster for Ace of Hearts, and I would love to take any one of you guys to any of the shelters, including San Bernardino, just so that you can see exactly what you're dealing with, where the animals are, especially where the pit bulls are. I feel like I'm discriminated against just because I breed my dog by sitting in this room. I feel like it's just judging of appearance, judging of just a specific breed, which is a reflection on me. And I'm a responsible dog owner. I agree with the irresponsible dog owners. Let's educate them. Let's do something about them. But to across the board suggest that everyone who owns any kind of Staffordshire Terrier, American Pit Bull Terrier, any bully breed is an irresponsible owner is just wrong. I believe in the education of people, and I also do agree that we need to do something as far as getting out into the community to raise awareness of how people are raising their dogs, maybe have special trainings, classes, that kind of thing, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good evening, Councilman. First, I'd like to, before I forget, I know that Mr. Josh Liddy handed out a copy of Guilty Till Proven Innocent back in December 18th, and I just want to make sure that the council has either watched it or if not, takes a moment to watch this documentary. Like I said, my name is Diana Prado. I'm a housing rights attorney at a nonprofit located in downtown Los Angeles in the Skid Row area. I see firsthand the effects of ineffective laws on economically disadvantaged families. In particular to this ordinance, it is economically not feasible. Even in SB 861, it states significantly that there's going to be a huge impact economically on the county, on the city that's going to be enacting these specific ordinances. Really breed discriminatory ordinances because there's nothing specific about any legislation that targets any type of dog. So economically, it's not feasible, nor has anybody even broached the idea, Councilman Madison, in regards to how you're going to get quarterly reports, statistical report rights to the state veterinarian. It's not effective whatsoever.
You realize your time has expired.
Oh, my time. So just lastly, I know that there's a motion on the table a motion to table this, but I agree with Councilman Kennedy and Councilman Tornick that they should just be voted down. coming back over and over again. Thank you.
So I am a public health statistician. I work at UCLA and for the LA County Public Health, and I have done the research. I have sent this report to you guys earlier today. Oh, sorry. Thank you. There we go. I want to point out from a very short time that I have that in conjunction, so the red is mandatory, this is from LA County, LA Animal Services data. The red is under basic mandatory spay and neuter. The green is with the assistance of educational programs such as NKLA. The adoption rates for pit bulls, adoption rates for all dogs increased significantly since the educational programs, and even more so for pit bulls. And the euthanasia rates decreased after the programs came into effect. Again, statistically significantly better for pit bulls than for other breeds. Education in combination with legislation.
Good evening, Council and Mayor. I appreciate the time. I'm a Pasadena homeowner for the last 10 years. I'm an example of Pasadena. I have a pit bull mix, I have a Chihuahua, and I have a mixed breed. All three were spayed and neutered early on. But I'm an example of a responsible pit bull owner and responsible dog owner, as is everyone here. Our problem isn't going to be with all of us. It's going to be with the people that, regardless of legislature, aren't going to answer to what we need in any case. But I do really want to thank all of you for listening to what everyone said, to reading the things that were sent to you, for making a difference, and for changing your mind on breed-specific ordinances and legislature at any time. I do want to say that someone recommended, and I think it might be interesting to look into an animal commission that is established, so it's not under public safety anymore, but in fact, any animal issues in this city were looked at through them, and they could then, in an objective way, get some information for everyone. And I do caution against any breed-specific legislation, and even we need to be careful about mandatory spay and neuter, because what it creates, education is truly the way to make a difference in our community, and I know we all want a safe public community. Thank you, all of you, tonight.
Good evening, Council. I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to read that pile of emails. And it simply states to the fact that it's not laws, but it's education that makes a difference. You guys took the time to educate, and we out here appreciate that so much. Because the fact is, this is not just a Pasadena issue. Anytime you have a law such as this that is very specific, it affects not just this city, there's a ripple effect everywhere else. Because people adopt from Pasadena, but they also adopt from everywhere else. So if you decide that, for instance, you could actually turn on a very specific ban, then we lose a whole pool of adopters. We also probably fear around this, because it is discrimination. No matter how you look at it, discrimination against one breed. And if your community is in discrimination against the size of the dog's head and the broadness of his chest, we're going to discriminate against the next. Thank you.
This is just my dog, just want you guys to say. Mr. Madison, you started the meeting today hoping to blow those Dr. Seuss. There's really a ski or guys on them. Did you really have a good old growing up? Yeah. Also, you said no one was stepping through an ER who owns a pit bull. My mom's been an ER nurse for 34 years. She owns a pit bull. So, my point would be, you notice a trend here with Mr. Madison. Madison latches on to all-encompassing verbiage as if it's fact. First with the all pit bulls are killer stuff, then with the all doctors would never own these stuff, and it's certainly his right to do that if he chooses, but he can't legislate from that position at all. And just to close really quick, what we need more of is that our leaders place their moral power behind their laws. And I want to thank most of you for doing that, especially Mr. Kennedy and Ms. Robinson, and also condolences on your loss, Mr. Kennedy.
Hi, thank you for your time. I'd like to quickly address two things. Number one, they say that they're doing this to take care of pet overpopulation. That's great, except if you're looking at the numbers, we'll assume are true for half a minute. The pit bull includes about up to 20 different breeds, depending on who you're talking to. So of course that number is going to be huge, because you're talking about a huge group of breeds, not one. The second thing I'd like to discuss is safety. This is somehow supposed to make things safer. I just have one question. What do you tell the parents of the 2 children in the last month in the Los Angeles area that were both attacked by Akitas and ended up in the hospital? Any kind of route-specific legislation against pit bulls would not have helped, protected, or taken care of those children. And as an owner of a pit bull and a responsible owner of a pit bull, I think all dog owners should be held to the same standard for any reason, whether it's safety or overpopulation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I am a Pasadena homeowner for 14 years. Thank you for letting me come in front of you. I need to interview from Riverside. I actually work on Riverside. I give them 3 spay neuters clinics a month. I spay neuter 100 to 150 dogs a month. What works out in Riverside is they do canvas. And let me tell you a little bit about canvassing. They have 600 licensed animals in one community that they canvass. After they canvass, they have 6,000. That's a lot of revenue for their area. That meant people were lining up to get spayed and neutered. They were lining up for vaccinations. And when I do my clinics, they're thankful that I'm there. They're walking up with shoelaces for their dogs because that's all they have. These people can't afford it. What we have to go after is the irresponsible owners because most of the owners are low income and they can't afford it. So we offer low income to low cost to no spay neuters. Oh, my time's almost up. I also do not own a pit bull, so I feel that I can really represent the average person on speaking on pit bulls. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Susan Campese. I'm an Pasadena homeowner. I work in Pasadena. I shop in Pasadena. I walk by 2 pit bulls in Pasadena. I adopted one of my pit bulls from Pasadena. Actually, I found her on the street. I brought her to Pasadena, and they labeled her unadoptable and were going to kill her. So I took her as a last resort. I was terrified when I picked her up. We were both trembling. I got her into my house, and as soon as she felt safe, she was like a little happy puppy dog, and she's been a loyal-loving animal ever since. I want to thank Mr. Madison for his leadership on the 710 tunnel issue. I agree with him. He's on the right side of the community in that issue. He's on the wrong side of the issue with mandatory spay neuter pit bulls. I resent the demonization of the breed. I agree with the many other speakers that it doesn't serve the community to be sensationalizing issues around pit bulls. We need better, I want to suggest that we take a more enlightened view about animal welfare. We should have animal welfare laws, not animal control laws.
I'm Amy Walker. I'm a mom too, preschool teacher. I actually also don't own a pit bull, but I do work with a dog rescue, which I want to mention because 3 years ago I believed everything that Steve Madison was actually saying. But the difference is that I took the time to actually educate myself and acquaint myself with these dogs. And Steve, I invite you to go into the shelter and look into the eyes of all the dogs you're criminalizing because it's just, okay, it's discrimination at its worst. But I just want to say 27% of pit bulls are euthanized according to your slide. That's because people demonize them and use fear-mongering to pass laws, which is what's happening here today. And also, your ER physician is one opinion, and there are 67 people here with a different opinion than what that person had to say. And I want to thank you guys for canvassing and educating because that really is what works. Reaching out to your community will work. I do it myself. People are thankful and providing low-income prices for spay and neuter. Thank you.
All right. I'm a Pasadena resident, and I own a pit bull mixed dog. I kind of had the same sentiment about 10 years ago about the breed until this was back when I was living in Boston. And a friend of mine that I worked with, he ran a rescue organization dealing primarily with pit bull breeds. And he invited me over to his house. He was fostering a dog, and I was a little apprehensive going over there, but when I went over there, I realized that these dogs are just as loving as every other dog. And that's why I vowed to adopt bully breeds from here on out for the rest of my life. And very happy. She's my best friend, and totally against BSL. Anyway, so.
My name is Joe Porter, and I live in Monroe. I started out in North Carolina. Couple things. I'm a teacher of middle school, and the biggest thing to talk about is to prevent bullying, and certainly don't be prejudiced. We teach kids that all the time, and that's what this very specific situation is all about, bullying and being prejudiced. I run a dog and cat rescue called For the Love of Animals Dog and Cat Rescue, and I've been doing this for 15 years. When I go to the humane societies and when I go to the shelters, I fell in love 15 years ago with squishy, lovable, the most enduring dogs you'll ever meet, and those are the pitties. I am a proud grandmother of 3 pitties. I've had one myself. He died 2 years ago, and he was our best friend and our soulmate. They're wonderful dogs. Please, I invite you, sir, to come to my home when we have 6 dogs there for parties, and they have a ball. And there are 3 pit bulls, and 1 poodle, 1 chihuahua, and 1 mixed breed. Come on over if you're not afraid and see how sweet they are. Thank you.
Mark Roulon.
Good evening. I wanted to piggyback on what the attorney had to say as to why so many pit bulls were put down. Is these dogs come in as strays. They haven't eaten in days. These shelters decided to signal them out and do what's called a temp test on them. So they put a plate of food in front of them, and if they guard the food, they deem them aggressive. And so they're not adoptable to the general public, which Mr. Madison probably isn't aware of. They make them rescue only. That means a rescue group, 501c3, has to come in and actually adopt the dog. Okay? I'm a retired police officer. I'm a pretty hardened individual. I've been shot at numerous times. I'm a medal dollar winner. I've killed a robbery suspect. But the one thing I want to say, Mr. Madison, is thank you for bringing all these people together. I don't really care for but all these people love pit bulls. I'm a huge pit bull lover. And in closing, I find it interesting, and I hope the females in here can hear me. Rapes are up 25% in Pasadena, and yet we're showing stats on pit bulls. Wrong end of the leash, Mr. Madison.
My name is James Krause.
Mr. Krause, please go forward with your statement.
Okay. Hi, my name is James. I'm a dog trainer, and it's my job to educate responsible dog owners. And a lot of these attacks that you hear about on the news and the media and all of that, those are all irresponsible owners. I teach people in classes how to be responsible owners, and we have a saying in the pit bull community is blame the deed, not the breed. So this is what I live by, basically. And I think that a mandatory spay and neuter for all dogs is the right way to go. Thank you.
Good evening. Since you guys are going to prolong it, are the comments going to be taken into consideration when you guys do vote? Before I start. So that when you guys are going to table it, are you guys going to still take our comments into consideration?
We certainly are. They're part of the record, and we have a file of email messages, and we're listening carefully to the comments tonight.
Okay. Well, a little bit of history on pit bulls. Pit bulls were mainly raised to take care of the babies back in the day, and even though people mistreat them, they're still resilient and they're still forgiving to the humans. I have 2 pit bulls that I rescued. They were left on the freeway, and the one that's like more vicious is my Yorkie, because he wants to play around, but they're like more laid back and they just want to be loving. And they rescued me after I did a tour in Iraq. They have made such an impact. When I came back from Iraq, I was like, I couldn't even stare to talk to you. But these dogs, like, they completely changed me. And I know that you're gonna continue fighting to ban them eventually, but I think you should get some education yourself and really stop taking negative feedback from people. Go yourself, like Cesar Milan said.
Ma'am, your time has expired, and so I'd ask that you bring your statement to an early close.
Councilman Madison, please take into consideration that these breeds are not bad. It's just ownership is not. The people that don't own them don't know how to take care of these dogs, and you shouldn't ban these dogs.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for
for your patience. My name is Ana Valverde, and I am a volunteer for an animal rescue organization. I was 29 when I met my first pit bull. I come from a country where the media has also made it a point to instill fear in the public regarding pit bulls. Funny enough, I majored in journalism, a career I did not choose to pursue for various reasons. They're some of the most soulful animals I have ever met. Despite the fact that a lot of them come from broken pasts, it's like they were put on this earth to teach us forgiveness. You know, what is likely to happen if this item is passed? Pit bull breeds are likely to become exotic and more desirable, which might just promote illegal breeding in less than ideal conditions. Enforcing this law is going to cost thousands of dollars, but education can be free. So I encourage you to also inform yourselves regarding pit bulls. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Allison Columbus. As a volunteer at a city kill shelter, I'd like to give you a few items to consider when interpreting those statistics that you had posted out there. I've spent nearly every weekend for 2 years at a very high kill shelter, and I don't think pit bulls are dying in our shelter because people are overbreeding pit bulls. I think they are dying in our shelters because people are overbreeding dogs, period. Small dogs come into our shelters in droves because backyard breeders treat dogs as goods for trade. Small dogs are more likely to be adopted out than pit bulls, that's true, but it's not necessarily because they have better temperaments. It's because insurance companies and landlords discriminate against large dogs like pit bulls. So many people are being told what type of dog they're allowed to own rather than being allowed to own the type of dog that they want. There are simply more homes for small dogs. And pit bulls are more likely to be euthanized in a kill shelter for space than small dogs because of their size. You can put 5 to 6 small dogs in a shelter or in a kennel versus 1 large dog. And if a shelter supervisor needs to free up 5 kennels, do you think they're going to kill 5 dogs, or do you think they're going to kill 25 to 30? They can make that decision without considering their temperament.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Marisha Wojcik, and I am a South Pasadena resident and I'm a member of the South Pasadena Animal Commission and also proud owner of 2 rescued pit bulls. I just want to say that it seems that the time would be right for Pasadena to consider an animal commission so that some of these incendiary meetings don't have to occur, because an animal commission really will mitigate some of this for you. We found in South Pasadena, in fact, I just wanted to show you, the time has really come for this, because way back in '87, we were dealing with the pit bulls, singling out pit bulls. And I'll just read here. It said, this is from our South Pasadena Animal Commission minutes of July 6, 1987. Singling out pit bulls or any other single breed is possibly unenforceable, likely to drive actual offenders underground to pose greater dangers, and not addressing the real problem of all dangerous pets in the city. After reviewing the information on recent ordinances, we found...
Ms. Wojcik, you know your time has expired.
Okay, just want to say, the major goal is, they just found that it was ineffective, basically. And also, I just want to say that the CDC and the White House in August of 2013 came out very strongly against breed-specific legislation.
Councilman Steve Madison has said that he wants to avoid any serious pit bull incidents before they happen by BSL. Using Mr. Madison's logic, we should eliminate all cars that go too fast and could potentially cause an accident. I've heard doctors say they would never own a swimming pool after treating a child who was drowned. If pits have a hard time getting adopted, which they do, it is because of archaic thinking and fear that Councilman Madison spreads. And listening to him, I would think of McCarthyism. He said he wants to be educated and hear what we say, yet he hardly looks at any of the speakers. I'm sorry, he will never know the love of a pit bull because he will never take the opportunity. And I find him to be a very scary person.
Thank you. Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. My name is Dana Keebley, and I'm actually a former shelter employee for the city of Rancho Cucamonga. Let me pose a question to you. When your parents told you to do something, did it make you want to do it? When they said, because I said so, did it compel you to want to do it? Or did it make you defiant and resentful? If they explained to you why you should do it, were you more likely to do that? It's no different with things like mandatory spay-neuter laws. Requiring people to do something like spay-neuter, especially when those people are singled out from the rest of the population, is not effective. Instead, try actively educating the community and engaging them in a dialogue about it. Find out what, if any, objections they have to it, and find ways to overcome them and work around them. Empower your community to be responsible dog owners, and do not punish those who already are.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak before you again. I was here in November and remind the council that at that time, the dog bites were only 3 in the last 3 years. So this is an ordinance in search of a need. I presented you all with packets from the American Kennel Club with documents on breed-specific legislation and mandatory spay and neuter. I've also provided the city, Mr. Clark, with a PowerPoint presentation from the AKC regarding breed-specific legislation. Rather than taking a negative approach, a much more effective means is to offer education and incentives, obedience training, graduated penalties, enforce leash laws, enforce the need for permanent ID, provide training, socialization, public education, and free trips home for dogs who are ID'd. More and more states across the nation, as well as municipalities, have repealed or prohibited breed-specific legislation. Among them are Rhode Island, Connecticut, Nevada, Massachusetts, cities in Arkansas, Kansas, Wisconsin, Mississippi, Missouri, Pennsylvania, etc.
You know your time is expired.
Good evening, council members. My name is Elizabeth Orrick, and I'm here on behalf of Best Friends Animal Society. Best Friends opposes any form of breed discriminatory legislation, and that includes breed-specific spay and neuter requirements. Like people, dogs should be judged as individuals. Rather than pass laws that target innocent dogs or their owners, we need breed-neutral dog laws that hold negligent or reckless owners accountable for their animals and for situations that are actually dangerous. Moreover, breed-specific spay and neuter mandates simply don't work. In Kansas City, Missouri, it actually increased euthanasia of pit bull terrier type dogs. What's more, studies have shown that it's extremely difficult to identify which dogs are in fact pit bull terriers without a DNA test, and shelter workers frequently misidentify these dogs, which will open the door for countless lawsuits against the city. According to a fiscal impact calculator, the cost of Pasadena to implement this kind of ordinance would be over $248,000 per year. You all have copies of that calculation. So Best Friends urges the council not to move this ordinance forward, and I just have to tell you, I just came from the overflow room, and there was a vicious pit bull that was attacking a baby with kisses, and the baby was giggling and giggling and giggling. So that's an example of what we're looking at. We need to reconsider what we consider vicious. Thanks very much.
Yeah, good evening. I am an owner of 2 pit bulls that my family and I adopted from the Pasadena Humane Society. I have to say that these dogs have definitely changed my life. They've changed my view of the dogs. I was terrified of them. I had the basic stigma in my mind as well, but after owning them, they are definitely the most loving, caring animals that I've ever encountered. We also have a little Maltese. He is way more vicious than these pit bulls. Take my word on that. So I just want, to hold testament that pit bulls are definitely the most loving dogs, and they don't deserve to be discriminated upon.
Hi, my name is Anna Young. I moved to the States to avoid discrimination, to which I was a subject to my entire life. I'm a Jewish person who comes from Russia. I moved to America not to be discriminated against. The only dog I ever came to love is a pit bull. I'm actually a cat person. So let's not discriminate. This is America. Let's not discriminate against specific breeds like Jews or pit bulls.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I just want to say
I rescued a 4-month-old pit bull puppy from a high-kill shelter in San Bernardino when he was 4 months old, and now he is a canine good citizen certified and a canine good citizen advanced certified pit bull. He's the best I've ever owned in my whole life. Thank you very much.
My name is Tula Chester. None of the reputable organization has agreed that breed-specific legislations are effective. Groups like American Bar Association states these sort of restrictions do harm to families, to dogs, to due process, and to the economy.
Thanks for being so patient.
It has been proven breed-specific legislation do not help neither with number of integrity shelters, nor with the euthanasia, or with the public safety. So what we have been seeing in history has been repeating itself, because there have been other states or cities tried breed-specific legislation, and it has been shown that it didn't work. And we've seen that over and over again. And it is as clear as day with the examples and statistics in front of you and in front of us that what you want to do will not work or will be ineffective. Since we know the past, we can also predict the future. What will happen if this legislation passed? Pasadena will be part of a statistic that shows ineffectiveness of BSL. It will be
You realize that your time is expired.
One more sentence. This will be an unsuccessful attempt in its legacy, and your names and signatures will be beneath it. Thank you.
I'm Ski, and I run a nonprofit called Change the Heart Pit Bull Rescue. I started it in 2009, and since then I've rescued over 200 pit bulls and placed them in forever homes. I placed them in homes with children, with expecting mothers, with EMTs, anything you name it, celebrities, and people who write movies. Between myself and Angel City Pits, from what I've heard, they've also rescued and placed about the same amount of pit bulls. It's a pretty good adoption rate, I do think. I think shelters have a problem adopting out pit bulls because a lot of people do spew false information out, and they talk about things that are not completely true without doing a lot of research. When I started Change of Heart, I did my research. I backed it up. I've been to college, and I learned that you have to have backup. You cannot just say that you've researched something and go off of one specific website. Thank you for
Hello, my name is Maria, and I want to thank you for having me here today. First of all, I want to say that I'm a college student, and I go to Cal State LA, and I oppose item number 15 on the agenda because it's ineffective and costly. And I also agree that we have to educate the public regarding this breed and regarding all breeds and all types of animals instead of discriminating. And I also like to share my story with you. I rescued a pit bull, now 4 years ago, and that's when I first started rescuing. And she was used as a bait dog. She was practiced on, and she was in terrible condition when I rescued her, covered in scars and bruises. And the day I brought her in, until a year afterwards, she was scared to death of everything, even little cats. And now she sleeps with my foster kittens. She's the most amazing thing. And I have to say that within my 4.5 years in rescue, I have never been bitten by a pit bull or any other dog, but I have been scratched to death by cats. Yes, cats. I'm not kidding. I've been to the hospital because of cats. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. I grew up in Huntington Beach, California, and I'm Latina, and I was discriminated. So please don't discriminate my my family. Please end BSL.
Hi, my name is Nicole Bruckman. I'm a wife, mother, and owner of 2 rescue pit bulls, and I am in opposition to the proposed city ordinance requiring the mandatory spaying and neuter of pit bull and pit bull cross mixes. I am also the art director of an upscale gallery and boutique in Old Town, Pasadena. And during the last year, myself, my coworkers, and the owner of the establishment have had several safety issues. We have received counterfeit money. The gallery has several times been vandalized. We have been sexually harassed, had disturbing and sometimes frightening encounters with schizophrenics and transients. I've broken up physical altercations outside of the gallery and called 911 for Passersby with medical and psychiatric issues. However, we have never once been assaulted or feared for our safety in any way because of a pit bull. I've also spoken with some of the other neighboring merchants, as well as the Pasadena guides who are great at their job, and they have experienced many of the same safety concerns as I, but again, never been victimized or feared for their safety because of a pit bull. In fact, most of them either found it laughable or a grave misuse of taxpayer funds that this is what was being chosen to waste time and resources on when there were so many other actual pressing safety issues with the funds. Thank you for your time.
That happens to be my district, and I can't put a plug, but I would just suggest that people go by and visit that.
Good evening. My name is Amanda. I've been a resident in Pasadena for almost 17 years now and a dog owner for most of that time. I spoke to you in October when the broader mandatory spay neuter ordinance was before you. And at that time, as has been noted by several council members, it was deferred 6 to 9 months, and I'm concerned by rushing this through faster. A lot of the stakeholders who spoke at that time were not paying attention and were expecting this to come later. So I think setting a date would be a good gesture of good faith so that people can be prepared. There are many issues with breed-specific legislation, mandatory spay neuter. I won't get into the details, but I think the main issue is that there seems to be a mismatch between what the perceived issues are and the range of tools or the narrow tools being presented before you. I would suggest that, people have mentioned the possibility of an animal commission, but in the shorter term, there's an opportunity to maybe convene some kind of a work group task force. There's a broad range of resources in Pasadena. We have dog clubs, obedience clubs, kennel clubs, rescue organizations, and very qualified behaviorists and trainers who I'm sure would all be willing to contribute their expertise.
I volunteer at a very high-kill shelter, Doggy shelter, and I see everyone coming in with their animals and pit bulls, and we have spay-neuter clinics. And it's really up to people to facilitate spay-neuter clinics after the dogs leave on a medical waiver because they don't go to the clinic and they have to take the responsibility to come back and spay or neuter their animals. It always comes back to the people and not the dogs. I live in Pasadena. I'm very active in Pasadena as an animal advocate. Jean knows me very well. I have a great pit bull at home and I support them 150%. I adopted him from East Valley Shelter, and someone said to me that I have a lab pit bull. And I said, okay, because I thought that he was just a Labrador, but he's a pit bull, and I am very honored to have the lab pit bull in my life. He's a great dog, and rescue is nonstop. And I think that with Pasadena Humane Society having this new facility, let's use it not just to spay and neuter pit bulls, but to spay and neuter all animals. I don't think that's why they built it, just to spay and neuter pit bulls. So,
ma'am, your time is expired.
Let's facilitate a new facility.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Dosher. I am a 10-year resident of Pasadena. I currently live in Garfield Heights, and I'm on the board of directors for the Garfield Heights Neighborhood Association. I've also been with a rescue called Karma Rescue for the last 10 years. It's a Los Angeles-based nonprofit. We rescue dogs from the high-kill shelters in LA, rehome them, rehabilitate them, and provide community outreach and education. Obviously, I'm against any breed discriminatory legislation or ordinance whatsoever. I do believe the city's resources would be better utilized to do community outreach and education like Karma Rescue does. I've actually proposed a new committee in our neighborhood this year for communities for pet safety and education to do school assemblies, lectures at local libraries to discuss the importance and benefits of spay and neuter, dog bite prevention, supervising your children all the time with animals, things like that. I believe that we need to have stiffer fines and penalties for reckless and negligent dog owners. And I know my light just went on, but I feel that through outreach programs like these, we can achieve a safer community for our residents and for the animals. Thank you.
Hi.
So similar to Eric Slumko, I'm also an employee of JPL. I've been there 19 years. I work on the Saturn mission, and I'm a pit bull owner. I love my dog. I came here to discourage you from passing this ordinance, and I thank all of the council members that seem to agree with me. As a data validation specialist for future legislation, I urge you to use sources other than dogsbite.org because they're riddled with errors and they would not stand the rigors of scientific review. And then finally, online, as pit bull owners, we also are discriminated against, not just our dogs. So I want you to remember that even rocket scientists love their pit bulls.
Hi, my name is Diane Landis. These are my 3 pit bulls right here, Brownie, Twinkie, and Petey. I've been in pit bull rescue for about 15 years. I have never been bitten by a pit bull ever. The other lady, the only one who ever bit me was a cat. And these 3 pit bulls slept on my bed every single night when I was going through breast cancer. I don't know how I would have gotten through it without them. These are my babies, and please, please don't table this. We're coming back. We will come back. Okay.
Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you so much. My name is Abby Daddio, and I just want to say gorgeous, smart, sexy, loving, kind, generous, kissable. Sounds like the best date I've ever had, but that is the best companion dog I've ever had in my life. And I would encourage each and every one of you, especially the Councilmember Madison, I would love to invite you to meet my pit bull. She is gorgeous, she's wonderful, she is kind, and I would ask all of the council members, why BSL? There are so many things that need our attention, so much that has to happen in the world that we live in. You are a bright, incredible man who knows what he's doing out in the world. I would embrace you and advocate for you to use your BSL for better things. Thank you so very much. Thank you to all of you. Thank you. Smart, sexy, gorgeous. Come to my house.
My name is Maria Backus, and I own Property, a swine flea pet store in Pasadena. I also own Pasadena Canine Cottage, which is a boarding facility, and I also am the founder and president of Mutts and Mom's Dog Rescue. I rescue mixed breed dogs, pit bulls, and mama dogs, and puppies that have lost their mom. And this pit bull takes care of, she was 32 pounds when I got her, she's 75 now. When I bring in unweaned puppies into the home that have a mom that's been killed, she takes care of them. So, so it breaks my heart that you would think that she is a horrible dog. And also, I have many customers, and 4 that come to mind specifically, that breed their dogs. One have a pair of Labs, one have a pair of Boxers, one have a pair of Italian Mastiff, and one have a pair of Rhodesian Ridgeback. All of these dogs have shown aggression to me when they've come into my store. In fact, some of them I've asked them not to come back. These people are breeding their dogs in Pasadena, selling them for profit. So please don't allow discrimination and let everybody, all dogs, be spayed and neutered. Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. My name is Tom Powers. I'm a member of the board of directors of the American Kennel Club of New York, and I live here in the Los Angeles area. American Kennel Club is opposed to item 15 on your agenda. But I'm not going to take your time tonight to give you the whole argument because it's so eloquently been given here for me by all these people that spoke before me. What I would like to do is offer to the council and your staff and to the city attorney's office the resources that we have available in our government relations department. If you have a problem and you're trying to draft an ordinance, we've been through this very many times and we'd like to work with you to see if there's something that comes up that's not discriminatory yet solves the problem that we have in Pasadena. I'm not going to wait for you to call our department. I'm going to make sure that they reach out to you tomorrow. And please take a look at all the material we sent you. I understand that this conversation is going to take a little bit of a different twist in July, so be assured I'll be back to see you in July.
Speaker, what's the American Kennel Club's position on mandatory spay and neuter?
We're opposed to mandatory spay and neuter.
Sorry?
We're opposed.
You're opposed to it?
Yes. Got it? Thank you.
Well, my name is Brandon Fouché, and I was going to bring some pictures of the dogs that I have, but I don't think we'd have enough. Anyway, I've been rehabilitating dogs for over 25 years. I work with all the bully breeds. And I'm here to say that the pit bull is no different than any other dog. The problem is that the pit bull has been one of the most favorite dogs of all the breeds that come before it. And so for the last 3 decades, for the younger generation, that's been the breed of choice. And so I'm available to talk to any council member about what I think the problem is and how to solve that problem. And I've been doing this since I was a kid, and I've worked with thousands of dogs. I have over 50 dogs in my kennel now, and they're all mixed breeds, pit bulls, purebred dogs, and they're no different than any other dog. So I'm extending my hand, my telephone number to anyone that wants to call, come by and see the kennel, or talk to me about aggression. I'm available. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jackie Warwick. I've been a business owner here in Pasadena in District 6 for the last 10 years and a homeowner in District 7 for the last 13. I was totally surprised that such a progressive city like Pasadena would ever consider something like breed-specific legislation. I totally support spay and neuter laws for all breeds, but these laws are already in place. Those laws should actually be enforced. But this legislation seems to have another agenda, which I absolutely do not support. Please consider abandoning this legislation and work on something more worthwhile that would actually be in the best interest of the families and residents of Pasadena. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I went through sort of a similar situation with the city of Los Angeles over the past 5 years. And I think if you use what happened with that situation here with your situation, you'll find most of your answers have already been brought before the people and have been addressed. It's something to really look at.
So I'm here today because I have worked with obedience clubs, rescue shelters, volunteers, people that work there, just about everything. And I've never found one person who is educated who believes in mandatory spay and neuter for all breeds or pit bull type breeds. No one has found that they are more aggressive, more dangerous, more of a liability. In Alabama, over 50 pit bulls were seized from a dogfighting ring, half died from injuries, and 4 puppies were put up for adoption. 2 of those puppies were planned to go and be adopted by someone who worked in the emergency room nurse. Another one was planned to go and be adopted to a military person who defends our country. And another was planned to go to a civil service worker. They were denied their dogs because someone decided that they were genetically dangerous. This was overturned based on evidence and facts, not on what people thought, but on what people found. They tested genetics, they tested everything over decades, and they found nothing more dangerous than a pit bull terrier. They found nothing dangerous about a pit bull terrier.
May I ask your name?
Allison.
Allison Boring? Thank you.
Thank you. It's nice to see you all, and thanks for staying and listening to us. I really appreciate it. The National Canine Research Council reports that over a 4-day period in 2007, on one day, a Labrador mix attacked an elderly man, sending him to the hospital. News stories of his attack appeared in one article in a local paper. On day 2, a mixed breed dog fatally injured a child. The local paper ran 2 stories. On day 3, a mixed breed dog attacked a child, sending him to the hospital. One article ran in the local paper. On day 4, 2 pit bulls that broke off their chains attacked a woman trying to protect her small dog. She was hospitalized. Her dog was uninjured. This attack was reported in more than 230 articles in national and international newspapers and on the major cable news networks. We cannot afford to rely on the media for unbiased accuracy. Emotional reactions to hearsay and media hype will not help Pasadena.
So I'm speaking for Leslie Broad. I'm with Wags and Wogs Organization Rescue. The one thing she wanted me to indicate is that pit bulls used to be nanny dogs. We still consider them as such. We still love them very much. I also work in the emergency room. I am an upper airway specialist, so I do work in the medical field. I also have a pit bull, as per my vet. As per the shelter that I got my pit bull from, she's a pug mix. As per my vet, she's a pit mix. She's a little pit mix, so I don't know how you can discriminate what breed is what if a vet in a shelter and another vet can't come to a consensus if my dog's a pug or a pit mix. So I do consider myself a proud pit bull owner, but I also consider myself a small pug owner, and it's the same dog.
Thank you for considering me.
Did
My name
you
is
turn in
Jessica.
the cars now?
No, I don't have a car, I'm sorry. We drove late because we were rescuing a pit bull.
Would you state your name?
My name is Jessica Johnson, and I'm a dog trainer. I've been training in Pasadena since about 2005. I'm an AKC certified canine citizen evaluator, and there's a couple of points that I want to make. First of all, I've owned pets in Pasadena for a long time, and animal control has never once done a check on my house to see if our animals are licensed. So if you're planning on, doing this mandatory spay and neutering, how are you going to enforce it? I think fines should probably be heavier for people that are not spaying and neutering, but as far as forcing it, I think we're going to run into some problems without doing more research and education. Now, second of all, education is a huge, huge part of this issue. I train classes in Pasadena and also Covina, which is a lower income area, and people don't even know they need to vaccinate your animals. They don't know that you need to have a leash and a collar, and they don't know they need to feed dog food, or they definitely don't know about spay and neutering. I was having this spay and neuter conversation multiple times a day. So if you're an enforcing issue that people don't even know about, that's a big problem. So I think education needs to be brought to the people and needs to be brought in a big way. The NK Lifetime Adoption Center is huge. They have billboards, they have so much public presence, and that's actually helping to decrease the number of homeless animals. They're working in the community and they're out there on the ground, and I think that's what we need. And I think all the people here are showing you that they're willing to do the work, and they're willing to go to the people and take it to the ground, use the opportunity to. Thank you.